Morning, guys. How's it going today? So, as you can see, pretty crappy weather again. Just seems to be the rule of law this year. Shit weather. Where's my key? You know I have a key here. There we go. Key. Did I hear somebody knocking on the window? Sounded like somebody knocking on the window. Trying to freak me out. Anyways, it's Saturday morning, April something. 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. April 13th today. And everybody's been asking me, or a few guys have been asking me anyways, to do a little bit of a review on the Bullix 4T with the Swiss Auto 250 4-stroke engine. So yeah, let's get that done. Incidentally, in case you guys aren't sure, this is where I work. Vandenbilt Auto Body in Golden, where I fix cars for a living. Yep, that's a thing. That is a thing. All right, moving right along. Let's get some lights on the situation. Dun da da, dun da dun da da, do 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 do. What's happening? Okay, so it's like -5 this morning. That was a really cold start. Easy to start in the air, obviously. All right, guys, well, let's get this started. So starting at the front, one of the things that I really like, I see a lot of other trikes out there, and I'm not pushing Fresh Breeze, but this is what I like about mine. I love the foot hoops, the heel hoops. The heel hoops make it so much more relaxing. You don't have your bottom of your foot just resting on this. Your heel just drops into here, and it's super relaxing. I really like that. I'll show you. So that's the brake on this side. And on this side is the throttle. And I'll show you more about the throttle in a second. So when you're sitting in the Fresh Breeze Bullix trike, look at that. Does that not look comfortable? So nice. Your heels are resting on there. It really is relaxing. I really like that feature. The foot throttle, nice and smooth. And the heel gives you controllability because you can push down with your heel instead of just letting it come back. So I can really, have fine throttle adjustments on this system. Super cool. I really like that aspect. That's one thing. I see Blackhawk built a really nice trike now. Super nice. Kind of looks a lot like these trikes, the way it's put together, and it has what I believe is a sister engine to the Swiss Auto 250, if I'm not mistaken. 3 or 4 more horsepower. And yeah, nice looking setup. I like it. But it doesn't have that. It has hand throttle still, and it doesn't have the heel hoops. So to me, that's something they need to look at and get on that trike. That would finish it. That's a nice trike they have. The other thing is suspension. So all they've done to save weight, I can't even push it quite enough, I don't think. Or am I doing it wrong? Wait a minute. Yeah, I can't get enough weight just with my hand and holding the GoPro. So just rubber bands and a shock tube that goes up in here. So super lightweight, and it just gives you 8 inches of suspension in the front. And never, when are you going to have trouble with this? I mean, you can just order another bungee in 10 years if you have the trike that long and replace it. No need to buy expensive shocks or anything else. And disc brake on the front, which is pretty nice. Brakes are, they're nice to have, but they're here and there to me, really, one way or the other. And super cool tire. You can let pressure out, add pressure to it depending on what you want to do. Haven't had any trouble up here yet, other than when I crashed. You can see I believe I slightly bent my foot things forward a little bit. I took out my little cup that comes with a nice plastic plug in the front and made a little mount for my Garmin or my GoPro up front, so that's pretty cool. So this is a good time for me to do a little inspection. Things are looking good here. They put a rubber on here to go up against the nut so it's not backing off, and it runs down. Here's another cool feature. You know what that is? That is cruise control, and that is absolutely, I never use it. I rarely use it. With the heel hoops, it's so easy just to sit there and modulate your power as you need to. You know, I've never used the cruise, but having said that, when I do a long cross country, yeah, you know what, I probably will. It's a nice feature to have. I asked for that feature. It's an option on the trike, and I got it. So I believe the dash pod is a standard feature, and I like it. It's a little wiggly on the ground, tends to vibrate a little bit, but in the interest of saving weight or whatever, it's just mounted in there. So I believe it comes standard with the hour meter, and as you can see, I only have 17 hours on there, and the reason for that is my first hour meter worked for like their test flying or their testing of the trike, and it never worked for me at all after. So Fresh Breeze sent me out, and I don't remember if I paid for that or not. I really don't remember, but anyway, they sent me out a new hour meter, so we're at 17 and a half hours on the hour meter. Comes standard with your E-start, a really pretty tachometer. And also a water temperature gauge. So what I've added to it is the GPS Map 96C Garmin, which my buddy gave to me. So we have that on board. I didn't hold that long enough. ICOM aircraft radio, which I have a helmet with the headset and the cable that comes up to my headset. So we have contact with aircraft, and you don't have to, but we really like to. So, and also I built this little mount, and all I did was took a piece of aluminum, put some padding behind it, and I think, did I rivet it on? I don't remember. No, it's just taped on. That way it didn't damage my trike in any way if I want to change it. When I'm sitting in the trike, it's easily reachable. Cockpit is easily reachable, GPS, and of course the cruise control is right there, so I can just reach under either way and set that cruise. So that's that part. Let's move on to, also the Fresh Breeze has A-assists. They're adjustable behind this little cover, and yeah, makes launching pretty nice. Yeah, risers, reserve, mounted to here, to my carabiners, and then what they have is these rods are held from down here up to here, and that's where the strength comes in, is right through this. So this is like an extension of your riser, sort of right down through, and that's what gives this added strength. So that's pretty nice. Little feature there too. Okay, so make sure the cruise control is off before I start it. I did that one day, monkeying around. Oh, and it does have a front fender, which is pretty nice. It keeps most of the water off you, but let's face it, we're not flying in water much anyway. Padding, so it's got 2 bars, 1 bar here, 1 bar here that come up, and then they're actually welded via, actually no, it's actually mounted with a great big, let me show you here, with a great big rubber guy like your engine mounts are normally rubbered or mounted with those big rubber guys. So that's how that's mounted. And then the seat actually in behind has crisscrossing lines all the way, and then some padding on the seat. Seat belts, very comfortable. I don't mind the seat belts at all. And so it does kind of come over your lap, I suppose. And it is a fairly quick release, like your car seat belt, so you're very familiar with it. But my tripod is actually broken, so just a quick push and you're out. So I really like that. And then these are mounted like with a strap around the bottom of that as well. So that's the seat, and it's cushy. A bigger guy might find these a little bit narrow. I don't. I'm 220, so a big ass. So I find it pretty decent, and they have like the ropes underneath as well. So yeah, I find it very comfortable. I don't have an issue with that at all. And moving on. So that's how that's all mounted. These guys move in here, and they have a retaining pin, so it can only go up so far, and it can only come down so far. But it's not going anywhere because it's kind of held to the cage by this just to hold. This is just to hold the bars up. And then I don't know if you can tell this, but those bars are slightly different, left to right. And I think that's for torque compensation. Yeah, it works so-so. Torque compensation is overrated in my mind. I don't find it to be a big deal. One hand hanging off a brake. The wing I fly does have the little adjuster, so I can just pull it down or pull trim and adjust it that way. So, engine's quick off, all quick releases on everything. This is one thing I don't really like. So if you undo this strap right here, so it goes around this, and then it goes around the main frame of the engine. So this here is a bolt that goes in to this tube, and you can see where it's marked up here. And I've only had it happen trailering, never launching, never in flight, but trailering, where it gets bounced around real hard. I've had the strap come loose a little bit. I've tried zap straps in there. I've tried everything. But every now and then because this actually just tilts back. So as you can see, the engine here hangs on that point, which is really good, not a problem. It's quick on, quick off with these little guides. So you can just drop the engine in, and then it swings down, and this little bolt on each side goes into there, which stops this, and it just gives it a place to be solid. And it doesn't go anywhere. I'd like to find something better than this strap to hold it in. But I haven't had any trouble with it lately, and maybe it's my driving. It very well could be. I do forget the amount of fuel in the tank. That I forget. But suffice it to say, 4 hours is pretty easy peasy on this tank. So 4 hours of flying time. Pretty sweet, pretty easy. And then the battery is placed back in here. So then I made, and going back with the seat. This is right full of stuff. First aid kit, food, extra emergency stuff, blanket, all kinds of stuff in here. And there's enough room for my paraglider stuff bag in here as well. Love that feature on this trike. You'll see if I do a review on Troy's that his gas tank is big like this. It's huge. So he doesn't have room for this thing. So he's trying to figure out carrying stuff. I can carry a shitload of stuff in here. It's not the easiest to get in and out of because of the fuel tank, but you just push it forward, slide your hand in here and unzip it. But it does work, and it works well, and I really like it. Trike's adjustable down here with these guys, so you can move the main beam forwards and back. So we have another 5 inches to go forward for really leggy guys, not a problem. And it'll go this way too for shorter guys. Another thing the trike has, I don't know if you can see this working. see that? So this trike articulates. So that's a form of suspension. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's different. It can be a little bit funny feeling at first, but it all mounts in underneath here on a central point. And then these little shocks dampen. So the whole back end pivots off the center point, dampened by these shocks. It's pretty sporty, and it can actually make it so you can go around the corner pretty quick too. I, of course, just taped on another GoPro mount. Tires, again, are really nice. Quick connects on this thing. This is more for just keeping lines out of there than anything else, and it does the trick. It has a fiber axle and a great big giant carbon fiber leaf spring. And it's pretty nice. Lots of suspension there. That moves up and down, and the axle can bend. So I like that. The cage, because you're sitting ahead of the cage quite a bit, there's no netting on this cage. Nothing. Hence the forehead damage. So, good thing, bad thing, I don't know. Remember to stow your toggles. Don't just let go of them. You don't want it going in the prop and turning you into a spiral and putting you in the ground like a lawn dart. So far, after 2 years of flying, exhaust springs, no problem at all. Not like on a two-stroke. My old Hearth Monster used to wear them out right in here, but so little vibration on this thing that it's not a thing. It doesn't happen. The trike doesn't come with this coating, so that's like a heat wrap with the spray on it. I did that just to save heat from being near my electronics. So I think it's a good thing. I like it. So also, EFI, electronically fuel injected. This works awesome, this thing. Another feature of this setup, and this has altitude compensation on it as well. I really like that. This thing, I flew it to 12,200. It was running the same. I was getting good performance out of it. Then you have heat from the valve cover, comes in through. So in the wintertime, I've flown in some real cold, icy conditions and have had no carb ice issues. Whereas on my two-stroke motor, just with a carburetor with a Venturi, would ice up right away if it was that type of conditions. Radiator, mounted like that, super cool, super easy. Never had an issue, never had to add fluid, nothing. It just sits there and does its thing. I put duct tape on it. I thought that was the safest thing in the winter, just to bring my operating temperature up a little wee bit. And it worked. Exhaust, of course, all exhausts are not created equal. We know that in the paramotor world. Down here, we went with 2 heavy-duty safety wired springs. No problem with that stuff at all yet. Works like a hot damn. Engine's all mounted in here. Oil changes via this hole or this hole. So either one, you can drop the oil out of it. I use this one. I think actually this one might be a filter if I'm not mistaken. And you have to take the exhaust off to change the filter. But it's a screen filter. I haven't seen any shit in it at all yet. So starter's mounted right here. So the starter's pretty easy to get off by the looks of it. And so everything about this I like. I like the clutch, works good. But I had an issue. And you've seen that propeller when I crashed, that propeller in my trailer from when I crashed. I don't know if crashing put a bunch of stress on this thing or what, but I had some clutch issues. And the struggle was real to get this thing to work. I did a video on it. I had some issues with it. It's all fixed now. And one of the things I had to be careful of was when you're mounting this all together, you have all your magnets in here. This all comes apart. I'm a auto body technician by trade, and I'm a wrenchy kind of a guy, so No sweat. I pulled it all apart. I adjust my own valves on this thing. Any mechanic can adjust the valves on these. And I think KTM, they make shims for in the valves, and I think the KTM ones for the motorcycle are exactly the same, if I'm not mistaken. If anyone has one of these and they're not sure, just message me and I can find out for you where I got those from. But we do have the exact same ones. So anyway, this gave me some static, but it might have been self-induced initially. And then when I fixed it, put it all back together, I screwed up putting it back together and I had things cocked a little bit, and that gave me my second round of grief. That was induced. That was me. I did that. That one was on me. So overall though, the clutch doesn't need much adjusting as far as the belt goes. And yeah, it works. Works good. The reserve mount is pretty nice, pretty standard. Tie it onto that thing and then it's mounted on there. It's easy access. Again, there's my storage thing with even a fuzzy warm blanket for winter flying. Fuel tank, electric fuel pump on this rig. So antifreeze, just straight. I run the Blue Ice antifreeze, I believe, in it, but you can run regular antifreeze in it, I think. And oil is a 0W40, whatever Fresh Breeze recommends. Easy off prop, 14 foot-pounds. And then under here is the fuel pump and the fuel filter. And that's kind of all guarded by the axle and the bottom of the trike. So it all hangs there, and I was worried at first, and oh, what am I gonna do? This thing is gonna get beat on. But no, and not a problem at all. Axles are quick release. Pop that off and pull them out, and away you go. So quick release that I did it by accident. But yeah, easy peasy. Okay, so to the thing that I hate. I don't like this valve cover. I hate this valve cover. Fresh Breeze says nobody's had a problem with it that they know of. Troy and I both had problems with it. So far, the simple fix for this valve cover, and I'll tell you what the problem is. So, let's get just the right amount of light here. So you see down in there where the red ends and it meets the head. That's where the issue is. And if you can see, if I hold that straight on, I don't know if you can see that or not, how cocked that valve cover is inside of there. So what winds up happening is where the valve cover meets the head, it warms up and it moves to the side. Simple fix, take it off, silicone the shit out of it, and we haven't had a problem. But it's always in the back of my mind. And then what happens is that oil comes up into that hole, and it comes out where this, it winds up coming out. There's a bolt in here that holds this housing on, and it has a hole in the end. And once the oil gets by that gasket and starts coming into the bottom of the spark plug boot, it starts to come out this little hole. Great idea. Except that when you're flying, the propeller must create a Venturi effect, and it just keeps sucking all the oil out. So you can run out of oil in short time on this trike, if that happens. Now, we haven't had a problem since we started really siliconing it, but I went one step further, and I actually had the oil build up pressure in there and popped my spark plug boot off, and you can look back in my episodes where I was having trouble getting back from a place, kept landing out on the slough because this stupid thing kept popping off. So I ran from there, a hose, down over to here, into this cool little bottle and a holder made with a Windex can. And now, at least if my oil does start to drain out of there, it's not going to Venturi. Hopefully it won't still pop the spark plug off, but I carry duct tape, and I found that worked. I could hold it on with duct tape if that were to happen, just in case. But my spark plug boot wasn't clicking on the spark plug good either, and that was part of the problem, so I'm not sure. But this one, it clicks in there, and it's super tight. So I think I had a faulty boot, which didn't help. But anyways, this can contain quite a bit of oil. So if I had to, I could take this off, pour the oil back into here, and hopefully get flying and get out of wherever I'm at. And a quick release for your fuel as well. So that is the Fresh Breeze Skip One machine, and I really like it. It runs on 95 octane fuel, but you can use 100 LL and or the famous VP Racing fuels. And this is what we do. The VP Racing T4 Power Sport fuel. 100 octane for modern 4-stroke engines. And what I do is I mix it roughly a third VP and then the rest gas. Truth be known, I mix it like a quarter or less. I just add enough that the engine runs good. And yeah, because it's not cheap to buy VP, but that's what I do. So let's get you some specs on this guy. I don't even know where I have them there. Fuel burn, 3 liters per hour, which is less than a gallon per hour. Yeah. 30 horsepower, which is pretty good. E-start, 55 decibels, and it's DULV certified, which is I think the German standard for this stuff. Dual overhead cam. So guys, in closing, I don't really want to say the price of the rig, but the paramotor, just the paramotor with the engine and the accessories that they added, like the whatever, I forget what I got. I forget if the cockpit was even an after thing, but anyways, all the way you see it, minus the radio and the GPS, was like right around 12,000. So not cheap. But if you want creature comfort, good fuel economy, and something that has a lot of power, no shortage of power at all, yeah, that'd be the rig to get. So anyway, you guys, I will catch you in the next one, and I should probably go and do Troy's, I guess, eh? Am I gonna do that today? I don't feel like being in the shop today, so I think I'm gonna say see ya.